You're tuned in to a Grown Folks production. In the mix with the Commish, Nate.
And just like that, let me welcome you into Press Pass Live, your weekly OMFL podcast show, the world's longest and oldest online CFM. Thanks for hanging out with us. I forgot to change one thing on here, so let me go ahead and just turn it off because it's going to drive me nuts since it's not the right one. There, it's off, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. It's probably going to come up on the next one. Let me welcome in our co-host. I am your commish, Nate, and the owner of the Saints, which is nothing that I should be bragging about after these last two seasons. But let me welcome in the commish of the Deuce and my co-host, Mr. Maniac. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, man. Always excited to be on the show and talk about the OMFL and the grown folks. And man, we had some interesting games already go down. So looking forward to talking about some of these.
Well, let's do just that. It has been a heck of a day already for me, at least. I don't know about the rest of you. I feel like I've had just one crazy day. Yeah, so we're going to see if I can't wrangle this in, get it focused, and get this show going without going 4 hours long. Mr. Maniac, let's do some recapping. Let's take a look at week number 10, 11, and 12. I'm going to give you week number 10. Let's do some recapping.
All right, so since I'm so long-winded and I can talk and I can talk and talk, I actually tried to go through these and make a little bit of a list beforehand, so keep myself a little bit more on task. There's a lot of games that we could talk about, a lot of teams making some pushes, but I've got a list here of 5 games that I want to recap over week 10. And the first one I wanted to come over was the Patriots at the New York Giants. Both these guys in the last season struggled really mightily to get anything going. And so far this season, both seem to kind of turn a corner a little bit. They're still struggling, but they're getting things, I think, round up and gear for their teams heading into this final stretch of this Madden. So we can take a look at some stats here. Rusty Starr, the premier rookie quarterback for the Patriots, he's finally back, getting some playing time, getting some experience and growing. And he had 244 yards in this game, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, was only sacked once. And then the other rookie, Charles Norris, had 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So both guys were limiting the mistakes. Norris was only at 55% completion percentage, but man, Starr was 77% completion percentage in this game, so that was a big thing there. And then when I look at the rushing stats in this, Austin Eckler has been phenomenal this season. He's been the bell cow for the Patriots, and then he also picked up Gibson from the Commanders, which these guys kind of go like peanut butter and jelly, man. So they've been putting up some good stats. So 85 yards from Eckler, 78 from Gibson. Both guys just controlling that ground. 3 touchdowns from the ground for the Patriots. Barkley struggled for the Giants. Only had 37 yards on 11 carries, 3.4 yards carry. Did have a touchdown. His backup, Old Ham. That's only had 23 yards, and so struggling there on the running game there for the Giants. Some big stats though from the wide receiver for the Patriots, Thornton, 6 catches, 101 yards, didn't have a touchdown, but man, he was moving those chains, 16 yards average on a catch. Justice bringing in some good stats as well, 4 catches, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. Waller would have the big play for the Giants, 1 catch, 54 yards, and a touchdown. Knox, former Bills tight end, didn't do a whole lot, but he had 4 catches, 52 yards. Not seeing any of the big plays from the wide receivers from the Giants in this game, so it kind of I don't know if the Patriots defense really shut that down, so we're going to take a look at the defense here. McKinney had 11 tackles, 2 for a loss. Bates had 9, former Falcon. So it don't look like there was much anything going on that really showed that. It just looked like the Giants couldn't get his big play weapons involved in this game, and I think that was the kind of the push the outcome in this game, losing by 5, and you get the Patriots getting the win here, 30-25. Next game, we'll look at the Jets and the Bengals. This game, big AFC matchup. Both guys are not in the same division, but in the same conference, and this is usually a playoff matchup every season, it seems like, in the OMFL. And this one didn't disappoint. If you look at the stats, both teams, we're going to look at the team stats right quick. 290 yards offensive for the Jets. The Bengals had 372 yards. 93 rushing for the Jets, 62 for the Bengals. The big difference, though, only 197 passing yards for the Jets, but 310 yards passing. 19 first downs for the Bengals, 15 for the Jets. Not too terribly off, but, man, them Bengals can move the ball. Total yards gained combined, 442 yards for the Bengals, 401 for the Jets. Looking at player stats, the first thing that jumps off the board, and you're thinking, like, you look at this and you're going to go, the Jets won this game because Burrow has 4 interceptions. It's kind of crazy, but that's not exactly entirely what happened. So Zach Wilson was efficient with the ball, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack. Was very efficient. Burrow, though, man, he was slinging the ball around, 317 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Both guys were sacked once. The rushing attack wasn't all spectacular, really, for either side. Breece Hall had 51 yards and a touchdown, and the all-world player Spencer McGee was kept in check, 15 attempts, 44 yards, and a touchdown. And that was pretty much it. It was just a little bit here and there from the backups. But the big play you have to look at here is from those receivers from the Bengals. And you got the new guy here that was traded from the Dolphins, Rivers, the tight end, making an impact. 7 receptions, 134 yards, and a touchdown. Man, he was on fire this game. And then you got throw in Jamar Chase, 8 catches, 111 yards and a touchdown. Again, you look at the stats and you think, okay, well, this was definitely a win for the Jets, and lo and behold, was what happened, because the Jets did get a 31-23 win. Those turnovers were big in the outcome of this game, because you can't turn the ball over that many times, because definitely both these guys are great players, great coordinators. They're great offensive minds. So, but anyway, the Jets did get the win here, 31-23. Next game up, Dolphins at KC. Both teams have struggled a little bit this season. We're not seeing the firepower that we've seen from them, but both guys again put up over 28 points in this game. The Dolphins 35, the Kansas City Chiefs 28. Both teams put up a lot of yards, 416 yards for the Kansas City Chiefs, 418 for the Dolphins, so very similar. You look at the player stats. Hitchens, we know this guy. He's going to be an all-pro, all Hall of Fame guy for the OMFL. So 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 250 yards. Patrick Mahomes, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and both guys were sacked a couple of times here. Rushing stats, you look at Denzel Williams, the rookie for the Dolphins, getting it done, though. 14 carries, 124 yards, 3 touchdowns, and putting up big numbers here. And then we also got another rookie on the other side of the ball here with the Chiefs, with the 21 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, but Harden, and he let go of CMC, and he's in Buffalo now. So, but this guy's making his mark in Kansas City. Look at the receiving yards. Rashee Rice, went off, 12 catches, 163 yards, and a touchdown. Waddle, 4 catches, 114 yards. The tight end that is also a rookie. We're seeing some impact rookies this season, seems like. So we got 6 catches, 89 yards, touchdown. Hill was not really a big factor in this game, 73 yards. So again, not a huge factor, but again, you look at the game, and both teams were pretty evenly matched, but Miami Dolphins get the 35-28 victory here. Next up, we're going to look at the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Browns. Both these teams are kind of in the same mold. Both teams last season were down. You never know about like the Steelers, though. We kind of made mention about he could have been tanking a little bit, but who knows? But they were both struggled the last season, but they've kind of stepped it up, and the Browns especially struggled the first couple of seasons, but now you see him kind of turn things around with his young quarterback Drystick, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception, was sacked once. The Steelers were running with Trubisky because Ritter got caught with his pants down in the girls' locker room, I think. I don't know. But the 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, and was sacked twice.
That'll get you every time.
Absolutely. Nick Chubb kind of making a resurgence here with the Browns. 18 carries, 139 yards, and a touchdown. Was averaging 7 yards a rush. And then you got the rookie running back again for the Steelers, 9 carries, 102 yards, 11 yards a pop. Yeah, that's the way to move the chains right there, and a touchdown. And then you got Najee Harris bringing in 41 yards, 6.8 yards a carry. And Mixon also bringing in some yards there as well. Cooper Kupp, now with the Pittsburgh Steelers, had 7 receptions, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. So it looks like this is going to be his go-to guy, moving the chains. Elijah Moore with 63 yards and a touchdown. Pickens for the Steelers had 55 yards and 5 receptions. Boyd, you see one thing though, the Browns seem like they kind of spread the ball over the field quite a bit. Tyler Boyd, a touchdown, 54 yards. And pretty much this is kind of surprising. Eli Barkley, the spectacular rookie here for the Browns, was kind of held in check. 3 receptions, 30 yards. We see this guy, he's got big play potential. And so, that's kind of surprising as well if you look from that standpoint. But not a whole lot going on defense. There was a few picks there, but again, you look at that game, that was a pretty good game there. The Browns end up getting the 29-21 victory over the Steelers. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the 2 guys that are buddies in real life, the Chargers and the Cowboys. The Chargers would lose this game by 10 points, but both guys played really good ball here. And Justin Fields was kind of on fire here, 251 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interception. He was sacked 3 times. Herbert for the Chargers, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked once. The rushing attack, though, when you talk about these 2 guys, you want to start looking at the rushing attack. Tony Pollard, 219 yards on 19 carries, 2 touchdowns. Man, he was just rolling the rock down the field. Couldn't stop him. Isaiah Spiller, 89 yards, really a solid day from him and a touchdown. But then you got big man Derrick Henry. When you don't have the fast guy Pollard on the field, then you got the big man Henry on the field just slamming the ball down your throat. 50 yards, 6.3 yards a carry. And then on top of that, you get everything bottled up. You got Fields that you got to worry about. He had 31 rushing yards receiving. Our familiar friend here, Tyler Benn, making big impact plays, 3 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Quentin Johnson for the Chargers, 6 receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown. And you had CeeDee Lamb throwing in 70 of his own with a touchdown. And then they spread the ball around pretty good. There was a couple other guys that got a touchdown. Bear The tight end for the Chargers had a touchdown, a couple catches. And then Tony Pollard also, with a big rushing game, threw in 2 catches there for 18 yards and a touchdown as well. So, again, these guys were just kind of rolling down and forth down the field here. A couple guys had some sacks. Simmons had sack. Both had a sack, Clayton and Parsons. So you had to look at those guys, see what kind of impact they made. But that's it for Week 10. Maybe I kept it a little bit shorter, sweeter this time.
Well, let's take a look at week number 11. It looks like I'm getting some encoding errors, so hopefully this doesn't stay here. I'm trying multi-streaming, and it's giving me a bit of a problem. I'm about to punt it, though, and just say, you know what? You want to hang out with me? Come hang out on YouTube, because Twitch just really gets on my nerves. Let's take a look at week number 11. Pittsburgh and New England with a really great game in this one. Almost 30 points, 29 points scored in the fourth quarter combined between both of these teams. 6 turnovers, 4 of them from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've sort of struggled with turnovers here late in the season, but a great win there for New England, who's been piling a bunch of really, really good games. Desmond Ridder comes back this week, and he just struggled. 177 passing yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a sack on the day, only 46% completion percentage. Whereas Rusty Starr continues to put up big numbers, over 300 yards again today, a touchdown. He does have 2 interceptions, but that completion percentage is pretty low, and we tend to see that with rookie quarterbacks. Clayton, another great game. These rookie running backs are really shining. 18 for 121 and 2 touchdowns to keep the Steelers in this game. The Steelers did a great job of keeping Eckler from getting going. 11 for 46 in this game and 1 touchdown. And then a quick look at the defense, and you're going to see a lot of pressure here from both of these teams. Wheeler, who's just a madman. TJ Watt getting after the quarterback for a sack on the day. Fitzpatrick, Connor, Bentley, and Gibson all with interceptions. And the New England Patriots come across with a really big victory. I don't really want to talk about this game, but you have to whenever you see a team score 59 points, 59-26. The Bengals come out on top. I'm not breaking this game down a ton, but you can see only 3 turnovers with this super high score. So the offenses were just rocking and rolling. 42 points in the second half for the Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow trying to make up for the 4-pick day that he had in week number 10. 5 touchdowns, Mr. Maniac. 426 passing yards, 80% completion percentage. The rookie Feldman, he struggled. 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns though, but only 30% completion percentage for the Green Bay Packers rookie. The Cincinnati Bengals rushing game was going. 18 for 84 from McGee. Chase Brown, 16 for 72. And then a quick look at the defense. Cameron Walker getting it done. With 11 tackles, 3 of them tackles for loss on the day. No sacks from either one of these guys, at least registers sacks, and then 3 interceptions, 1 from Alexander, Wilson, and Andrews, each getting them 1. Just a game that you have to pause and go, wait, what just happened in that one? Oh, yeah, 59 points. A lot of high-scoring games here in week number 11. Next, I want to talk about the Jets in Miami. Jets with a 41-38 victory in this one. Tons of points scored in the second half between both of these teams. Only 1 turnover. So you like to see those offenses get going without all of the turnovers. And that's what happened in this one. 443 offensive yards gained for the Miami Dolphins. 461 offensive yards for the New York Jets as they begin to get things rolling. The Jets, though, he only had the ball for 12 minutes in 59 seconds. Big play after big play after big play. Zach Wilson, 5 touchdowns, 66% completion percentage. Hitchinson, 3 touchdowns, 75% completion percentage. He did get sacked 4 times on the day. Nothing really super exciting in the running game. Everybody just doing okay. Michael Carter, though, having probably the best day. 6 attempts, 74 yards, no touchdowns. The rookie Williams did have 2 touchdowns on the day. Jalen Waddle, man, making sure everybody does not forget that he is still on the Miami Dolphins. 11 receptions, 135 yards. Dylan Hill, the rookie tight end, 3 receptions for 134 yards. Hardman, 2 for 90. So just big play after big play in this one. And again, not a lot of defense, at least when it came to turnovers. 2 sacks from Quentin Williams, and 1 interception from Sauce Gardner, who has had a pretty good season this year, getting things going. On the other side of that, the Los Angeles Rams they fall 16-17 against the Orlando Condors. 299 yards for the Condors, 244 for the Rams. So the opposite side of that spectrum, both of these guys turned the ball over a lot, 5 combined turnovers, 4 of those from the Condors, not a lot of points scored. Skylar Thompson, yeah, you read that right. Skylar Thompson is the quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams. He went 60% completion percentage, only 173 yards though. Anthony Richardson, he did have 56% completion percentage, but 4 interceptions, 3 sacks, only a 52.9 rating. Nothing super exciting when you look at the rushing game. I'm wondering what has happened to Jonathan Taylor after this first couple of seasons. Only 16 for 65. Now, the Rams are super aggressive on defense. They blitz a ton, and that's going to hinder some of that rushing game. Puka, 5 receptions for 98 yards. Jonathan Taylor, 3 for 69 to lead the Orlando Condors. Josh Downs, 6 for 62. And then a quick look at the defense. You're going to have 2 sacks from Matthew Scott, the left end. Just an amazing defensive line there for the Rams. 1 for Huff and 1 for Galmore. And then interceptions on the day. White, Jackson, Davis, Harrison, and Moore. A pickoff fest in this game as the Rams are just making all kinds of plays, and they come away just barely short against your champion Orlando Condors. A lot of other points scored in this one. You talk about the Chargers with a 24-16 victory over the Denver Broncos. Seattle hanging 49 on the Carolina Panthers. Don't know what happened in that game. And then Houston with a 37-24 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. Houston red hot, as I'm pretty sure we will talk about right now. As I turn it back over to Maniac for week number 12.
Yes, sir. The Houston Texans now have 2 wins in their belt, back-to-back. And both these guys that they've beat back-to-back weeks are not your just average owners either. So, and we're going to talk about this game right now. The Texans pulled the upset today over the D-Money 49ers, and I'm telling you, like, I was watching part of this game at the end, and I was just like hanging my jaw, like, what is going on here? It was like witnessing history in the making. So let's get into this and talk about Rodgers' big win here. C.J. Stroud has come alive in this season, and the last 4 or 5 weeks he has put up some good numbers. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league right now. He had 220 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and he was sacked 1 time. He's 15-27, 55%. But man, was he on fire. And then on the other side of the ball here, Trey Lance, 3 touchdowns, 358 yards. He was slinging the rock, but man, he had 4 picks in this game, and was sacked 1 time. But he was being harassed. I was watching this game, and part of those interceptions were from being harassed. Man, they were chasing him all over the field. And looking at the rushing stats, we got Pacheco here with 10 carries for 149 yards, 3 touchdowns. So Pacheco's kind of getting back into his form of things, like from his Super Bowl winning run in the first season of this Madden. France, the rookie running back for the Texans, though, man, 17 carries, 142 yards, 8.4 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. Again, like I said before, we're seeing some impact rookies all of a sudden kind of starting to make their name in the OMFL. Pierce had 24 yards on 6 carries. And then Mitchell, also for the 49ers, had 21 yards there on 4 carries as well. Moving on over to the receiving stats, Deebo Samuel had 11 receptions, 161 yards, and a touchdown. Ayuk had 7 receptions, 106 yards to throw in there for the 49ers as well. Then you start looking into the stats for the Texans. Brandon DeMarco, 4 receptions, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Kittle then also for the 49ers had 39 yards and 2 touchdowns. Claypool had 38 for the Texans, so he's kind of the guy who brings in just to get some yards to move the chains a little bit. John Mitchie the third, he had 36 yards and a touchdown. So Roger here spreading the love around to his offensive weapons. Sidney Melton from the tight end that he picked up last season had 2 receptions, 18 yards, but he did have a touchdown, so he was using him in there in the red zone. But man, you just can't say enough about Roger here with just the way he kind of meticulously threw the ball around, just getting everybody involved. And we're going to take some look at the defense here. The top tackler in this game was Fred Warner with 13, 2 tackles for a loss. For the Houston Texans, the Desmond King, the free safety, had 8 tackles there with Jimmy Ward, the free safety. He had 2 free safeties on the field, I guess a lot, but 6 tackles there for him. Let's see who got some sacks. Jackson for the 49ers had a sack. Harris, Anderson both had half a sack. Interceptions. Cody Pickles, man, this guy has one of the best names in OMFL lore. 5 tackles on the game. He also had 2 interceptions, though, and a deflection. And I don't know if he ended up taking that one to the house. No, he did not. But the next guy we're going to talk about is Slater McKinney, the cornerback here. First-year player, 2 interceptions, and he did take one back to the house with a pick 6 for 63 yards. Man, he was just all over the field. It seemed like this game. And Ethan Pouncey, the guy that was an import, I think, for the 49ers, he did throw in an interception there for the 49ers side. But man, this was like I said, like it's like history in the making. I know Roger said this the first time he beat D-Money. But man, he was on fire. He was just clicking. And then we had the Tennessee Titans play the Las Vegas Raiders. This game was a 31-27 win for the Tennessee Titans. 335 yards gain for the Titans versus 273 for the Raiders. Nobody was really just controlling the ground here. The Raiders did have 98 yards. Titans 75 on the ground. 263 yards or 260 yards passing. I'm sorry, for the Titans and 175 for the Raiders. Let's look at the stats here. Nick Samuels, first-year player, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He was sacked once, and then looked like he threw in the rookie there to get a little bit of experience. But he was looked like 1 for 1 in that game. But it was probably just a trick play or something. He had him in there. But 18 of 26 for Samuels. And then over on the Raiders side, the Raiders, Ryan Sherrod had 2 touchdowns, 184 yards, interception, and a sack. He was 15-27, though, 55%. Not great, but was efficient enough. And then those rushing yards we were talking about, 76 for Josh Jacobs. And he did have a touchdown. Zamar White put in 6 for 22 for the Raiders. The top guy for the Titans was Spears, 12 attempts for 38 yards, only 3.2 yards carry there. So the Raiders' front 7 was doing their job to slow down that rushing attack of the Titans. Looking at the receiver stats, Devontae Adams had the big touchdown catch at the end of this game. I think that was when he was trying to come back, but just wasn't quite able to get everything done. But 84 yards and a touchdown. Okonkwo, the tight end
You
for
know
the
you're
Titans.
asking the wrong guy.
I know Trey's going to be probably posting in the chat. This is how you pronounce it. But four receptions, and he had a touchdown. Duke Evans, first-year wide receiver, 4 receptions, 63 yards, and a touchdown. And Dante Baker, the tight end. This is a good player here. I think he was an import for the Raiders, but he's been a solid guy so far this Madden. 4 receptions, 59 yards, and a touchdown. Zay Jones just signed with the Titans here, I think, a couple weeks ago for 4 receptions, 46 yards. Spears also did have 5 receptions, 43 yards, so he was targeted in the passing game quite a bit there for the Titans. Moving on over to the defensive side, we're going to take a little look here. Who got those sacks? Wilson for the Raiders had the sack. Miles Jack had a sack for the Titans, and then Minor the rookie had the sack for the Raiders as well. Top tackler in the game was DJ Reed, cornerback for the Titans with 11 tackles. And then for the Raiders, the top tackler was Tyree Wilson with 7, 4 for a loss. So he was getting in the backfield there and making plays in the backfield. Also did have the sack. Interceptions, DJ Reed also making his presence known, had an interception. Mooring for the Raiders had the interception for them. But this was a good game. Definitely both guys played really well, but the Titans there did pull out the victory with 31-27. And then there was only 3 on here, but I just noticed another game finished, so we'll go ahead and talk about the Jets and the Bills. The Bills have been pretty red hot as of late, but then the Jets were just up for the challenge, and they put up 462 yards on offense to the Bills 382. Offensive rushing yards was really heavy to the Jets side, 188, whereas the Bills only were able to establish 49 yards rushing, 333 yards for passing for the Bills compared to 274 for the Jets. 23 first downs for the Bills, only 19 for the Jets, but I was kind of curious about the time of possession. It was actually pretty even here, 1938 for the Bills and 2022 for the Jets. Look at player stats. Zach Wilson, though, was the difference maker in this game. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 293 yards on 19 of 30. 63%, was sacked 3 times. Josh Allen was picked off 4 times in this game. 333 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 23 of 34, 67%. But looked like he was trying to fling the ball around the field, and just not his style. Breece Hall, 8 touches, 122 yards, 15.3 yards a carry. Yeah, he was just on fire. He had a long 84, 2 touchdowns, and his backup, we're just going to call him by his first name, Israel A here, had 7 touches, 54 yards, 7.7. So they were getting it done on the ground for the Jets. McCaffrey, again, the big acquisition here for the Bills, picking him up, 12 touches, only 48 yards though, only 4 yards a carry. Just could not get the running game going. The backup Harris for the Bills only had 5 yards rushing. Looking at receiving, Grant Stanley, this guy, we've seen his name called several times last year with Bill and over there with the Bills. He was feeding him the ball, and it looks like Big Hurt's doing the same thing. 9 catches, 155 yards, no touchdowns though, but he was involved heavily in the offense. Bobby Freeman, the rookie wide receiver for the Jets, 6'5", 219 pounds. So he's the rookie out of Georgia, West Georgia. 4 catches, 104 yards, no touchdowns, but he was a big impact. Stephon Diggs, 5 receptions, 76 yards, no touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, 3 catches for 58 yards. I'm trying to figure out so we can say who caught the touchdown passes then, because man, we were rattling off all these guys and no touchdowns coming across the board. McCole Hardeman, 6 catches, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. So the Jets were spreading this ball around everywhere. Kincaid for the Bills, 5 receptions, 47 yards, and 1 touchdown. McCaffrey also got 3 catches. Kuntz here for the Jets had a touchdown, 2 catches there. And then the other tight end, his rookie Huell, had 2 catches and a touchdown. And Gabe Davis had the 1 catch, but it was also for a touchdown. Looking at defensive stats, top tackler for the Jets was Devin Bush with 8, 2 tackles for a loss. Looks like for the Bills, Snead was the top tackler there with 7. Quarterback sacks, Cameron Jordan, your old player from the Saints, he's picking up a sack there for the Bills. And Avante Maddox, also, I think you've had him on your team before. Maybe you can correct me on that.
Yeah.
But, he's got a sack as well. And then for the Jets, I don't guess they didn't look like they had a sack, but Callaway, man, I didn't get my glasses changed, and Oliver both had half a sack. And then your interceptions, Converse had 1, Carter had 1, then you also had Sauce Gardner had 1, and Chuck Clark also had a pick, and Jordan Whitehead had a pick there for the Bills. But man, that was a pretty intense game. I watched a little bit of it, but man, the Jets were coming to play in that game, and they kind of made a statement that the AFC East is theirs, and so the Bills are going to have to go back to the drawing board here and see what's going to happen. And we also had a couple more games finish and try to speed this up a little bit. Detroit gets a 29-19 victory over the Mounties. I was actually expecting this to be a little bit more high scoring, especially since some of these games we've saw. But Grubbs had 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, was sacked 3 times. And then Watson here for the Mounties did not have a touchdown, but was picked off 4 times, sacked 3 times. So he was under duress the whole game, it looks like here, and was not able to really get anything going in the passing game. Grubbs also just checking, looking to make sure I got this right, was also the leading rusher for the Lions. 7 attempts, 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Holy cow. Grubbs could not get anything. Grubbs, Gibbs, whoever, all these gibbies, 8 touches, 25 yards, and a touchdown. Really couldn't get anything going on the ground except for the quarterback here. On the Mounties only had 19 yards on 10 touches from their running back for a touchdown. A.J. Dillon getting 16 yards. Mike Taylor getting 12 yards. So, man, they struggled in the rushing game except for Gibbs, that quarterback, man. That's phenomenal. DJ Moore, the leading reception guy in this game, 12 catches for the Mounties, 155 yards, no touchdowns. Reggie Conley, 3 catches, 59 yards and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney, 4 with 54. Amari Cooper, 3 with 47. St. Brown had a couple of key catches, I think, in this. Early on, I was watching a little bit before we started this up. Looking at the defense, though, this is where this game was probably shown here for the Lions because they clamped down Watson. 13 tackles by Branch, 1 for a loss. He picked off 2 passes as well in this game, so he was a big play guy for the Detroit Lions. Kirby Joseph with 8 tackles, also had an interception. Eddie Jackson did have an interception pick in this game early on for the Mounties, but man, just looking at all this, it just seems like the Lions just kind of locked everything down, and there's front 7 for the Lions. McNeil had a sack, Hand had a sack, Rodriguez had a half sack, Meadows had a half sack as well. For the Mounties, it looks like Tayshawn Cash, there we go. He finally got some stuff rolling with this guy. This guy's been, it looks like he's got all the tools, but you never see him in the stats hardly. But he did have 1.5 sacks in this game, so he was a little bit of a force for the Mounties. But man, the Lions get the victory here in this game, 29-19. And then last but not least, so far, the Cowboys hosting the Eagles. The Eagles put up 334 yards in this game to the Cowboys 289. Both guys were able to run the ball, pass the ball. Looking at turnovers, though, big difference. The Eagles had 4 turnovers. Both guys did third down conversions with 6 to the Eagles, 5 to the Cowboys. Time of possession, a little bit towards the Cowboys there with 21-13 compared to 18-47 for the Eagles. And you're looking at the player stats. Justin Fields, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 12 of 17. So he wasn't throwing the ball around a whole lot, but he was efficient with 70% completion. Was sacked 4 times, though. So the Eagles were getting after him. Dwayne was just being really patient with his passing attack. Jalen Hurts, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, though. He was sacked twice, 13 of 34. So he was trying to get the passing game going, but just could not get anything going with 38% completion percentage. So that was rough there for him. Tony Pollard, not the big game that we just looked at from the previous week, but 14 attempts, 89 yards, 6.4, a touchdown. DeAndre Swift for the Eagles, 10 for 54, no touchdowns. Henry again bringing in those 7 carries for that steady 6-yard average that we're seeing. So he's kind of the chain mover there, the change of pace guy for the Cowboys. So it's just that's a tough backfield to stop for anybody. Looking over at the receiving stats, top receiver was CeeDee Lamb with 6 for 72. For the Eagles, it was Watkins with 3 for 93 with 1 touchdown. Swift bringing in 3 for 17. Goddard bringing in 2 for 38. Devontae Smith 2 for 32. Looking at the stats for the Cowboys, we had Tyler Bent, only 1 catch, but guess what? That catch went for a touchdown, so making a difference in the game. Ferguson, 1 catch and a touchdown. Again, Dwayne was just really efficient with what he was doing on offense and throwing the ball. He wasn't making any mistakes. Looking at the defense to wrap this up, top tackler in the game was for the Eagles, Nolan Smith Jr. was 7, 1 for a loss and did have a half sack. And for the Cowboys, Price, first-year cornerback, 7 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. He had a pick also in this game. Top sack leader was Osa Odigizua with 2. See, this guy's on my Cowboys, so I can say the name. But if he wasn't on there, I wouldn't be able to say it. So 2 sacks in the game for Osa here, and Sidney Brown had 1 for the Eagles. Sweat also had 1. Reddick had 1. And again, we talked about Smith having a half of 1. McLean with the other half there. Gilmore, though, the old man, 13 years in the league, and Dwayne just keeps giving him whatever he's giving him to keep him alive. But he had 2 picks in this game, so just never ceases to amaze me how Gilmore has just stayed so good in this league. But the Price one was a dagger. It was a 100-yard return for a touchdown. So the Eagles must have been trying to push it in for a score and got the pick there, pick 6 for the Cowboys. But great game there, and the Cowboys did get the victory though, 31-10.
We did it again, Maniac. It is 45 minutes into the show. I should be wrapping up in 15, and we haven't touched anything. We haven't talked about a thing. We got to stop doing this on Mondays. I'm about to have to change the day because I have to go directly from this to talking to people. Oh, my goodness. All right. I'm making this very fast. Let's take a quick look at week 13, 14, and 15. At some possible games that could be a ton of fun to watch. Falcons and Jets, that will be a great one. Maniac and his Falcons, powerful offense. The Jets have been rocking and rolling here lately. Ravens and Browns. We know that Ravens and Nipples not having the season he expected to have, but the Browns are having a really great season. That's a fun division. That could be a divisional matchup that would just be fun to watch. Patriots, Dolphins. Can the Patriots continue to mount up really good games? They've had a couple of them in a row. I think that might be another really good one. Cardinals, 49ers. Cardinals, a little bit of a stumbling block against the Houston Texans a couple of weeks ago. 49ers, a bit of a stumbling block today against those same Houston Texans. Both of those are going to be looking for revenge. Look for that to just be a really classic game. Cowboys and Commanders, Bill versus Dwayne, defense versus defense. That would just be a really fun one to be able to watch and even call that one. Condors and Chiefs also is going to be a really fun game. Condors, again, not having that championship follow-up that we expected him to have. Chiefs, though, especially in the last, I'd say, 3 advances, have really found something there in Kansas City. So look for him to make something happen against the Condors. Week number 14, Maniac, what are you looking for?
Week number 14, looking at the Bills and the Dolphins, I think this is going to be a good matchup here. Always, if you within the division, it's always going to be good. And Massimo versus Big Hurt, it's going to be a big game here. Packers versus Bill. I know this is kind of like it'd be like an undercard game, but again, the Packers priest, he likes to fling the ball around and he takes chances. Bill has kind of had an up and down season, but I think this game will be entertaining to say the least. The Browns and the Bengals, again, Buddy Bowl 2.0 with the Little Koch and Denbrew here. This game, both guys have been putting up some offensive numbers, and so this game should be pretty exciting to watch as well. I think I'm kind of looking down here at the Buccaneers at the Cardinals, I think is going to be another good one. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have kind of had an off season, but you see like he's putting up offensive points, and so I think, if he can kind of maybe lessen some of those chances that he's taking and throwing those picks, I think he's going to get the ship turned around. May not be for a playoff run, but eventually figure stuff out. Joker, again, we're just talking about a revenge game. Has he got the ship righted from the last week, or is he facing a 2-loss coming into this game and really looking for revenge? So I think this would be a good one to watch as well. And then the Jets versus the Panthers. Both these guys, really good offenses. Most of the time, both these guys play really good defense. Sometimes they're really heavy on the offense, but I think this game would be a nice one to watch as well, because both guys like to get their receivers involved in the game. I think both of them also do like to run the ball, and so very, very similar styles, and I think it'll be a fun one to watch. Again, another undercard one, the Mounties versus the Giants. Colin.
This is what I love about Maniac. He loves you guys so much. He's talking about like combined 4-win team games. Like,
but this could be a battle for number one. So who knows?
It might be. Unless Colin I got something to say about that.
Colin has built a pretty solid team, though, and I'm not sure exactly why he hasn't figured things out yet, but he does like to throw the ball around. Tim kind of has the same issue. They like to throw the ball around. They'll make mistakes, and they're okay with making the mistakes because they have fun with just slinging the ball around. But I think this one would be an entertaining one to watch, to say the least, because I think both of them are equally matched. I think both of them, again, like I just said, they do like to play similar style, and I think it just makes for a great matchup to watch and just keep an eye on. This one, though, would be one to check out for the simple fact that both these guys are top players. Black Cats versus the Trey, the Detroit Lions Chargers here. Both guys do an exceptional job on offense. I think Trey has the advantage here with better defensive play, I think, from what I've saw in their games, but both of them are really solid players, and I think this one could be a potential OMFL bowl matchup, but I think it's a fun one to watch here. And this game so far has not disappointed every time these two guys play. This one is like a must-see TV in the OMFL. D-Money versus Meek Boy. Respect my name, Mr. Meek Boy. And I tell you what, the Seahawks put up a lot of offense The 49ers seem to put up a lot of offense. Both guys, I think, so far this season have struggled on the defensive side a little bit. But they are still in the top, I think, 5 or 10 defensive stats, but they do seem to have those games where they have let down and let up a lot of points. And but again, you cannot go wrong watching this game because it's going to be entertaining nonetheless.
See, this is why I love Maniac, because he authentically, when I say, what are we watching for? He really wants to see 75% of these games, including Packers and Vikings, Mounties and Giants. This is this is Maniac's passion about the OMFL. Let me take a look at week number 15. Pats, Browns. We're going to learn a lot about the Pats over the next few weeks. Can the Browns continue their hot streak? We're going to know more whenever that game happens. Condors and Titans. Penguins taking over the Titans halfway through the season. He's getting a couple of things figured out. Condors are going to need some wins here late in the season. Titans ain't just going to give it to him. He's going to have to earn that one against Mr. Penguins. Cardinals and Jaguars. Hopefully Pepper is fully back in his new house. He's ready to rock and roll. Things are going well. Joker's going to need a couple of wins here towards the end of this season. Steelers and Jets for all of the reasons. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to know why that one's going to be a really good one. Cowboys and 49ers game of the season. We've seen this happen before. Do both of these guys not want to show their whole hand because they know they may meet up again in the playoffs? We're going to find out a lot. That's going to be a bit of a barn burner. Maybe better other games here, but that may be a really, really good one. Bills and Chargers, the Buffalo Bills and Big Hurt not having that same sort of momentum as he had found there in Washington. Now he's in Buffalo. He's trying to take over a team that wasn't built for him. But the Chargers and Black Cats, he is rocking and rolling. Things are going just fine. Bengals against Mr. Nipples and his Ravens. Look, again, Nipples not having the season that we were used to him having, but Cincinnati is going to pull the very best out of him. I can't wait to watch that one. I'm ready for some OMFL news. Actually, we got to get back over here. So let's get back over here. Let's bring in Denbrew for OMFL news number 1. Denbrew, take it away. Denbrew, why is it not taken away? Oh, that's why. Sorry, Denbrew. We got to get your face up here. Now Denbrew can take it away.
Welcome back to the OMFL News, Season 106. We are in Week 12. Just finished up Week 11, and we had some dandies of some games. Condors, Ravens, that's a 1-point game. Looks like we had our last and final undefeated team go down, and I believe that may have been a CPU game. Not 100% sure, but I believe so. What else? Chargers, Denver looked like a nice one. Couple of buddies going at it. Arizona and Houston, that was a good one. Jets, Dolphins looked like a nice one, a big high-scoring 41-38 game. Anyway, I'll be back here in segment 2 and 3. We're going to break down the game of the week. We're going to break down each team in each segment. I'm going to send it back to Nate. I'm going to send it back to Maniac. Hope you guys are enjoying it. See you.
There you have it. Thank you, Mr. Denver. We're bringing back here in just a little bit. I want to talk about the Commish power rankings. I think maybe my first ones. I think I did some too early power rankings early in the season, but we're now way over neck deep into this one. I want to talk about my power rankings so far. Let's bring up just the overall standings because that's where we're going to find a lot of these teams. I didn't get to do the pretty, over thingy with the graph. I didn't get to do that this week. It was just too much going on. But it's okay. Maniac took up 3 hours of our time. No, I'm just kidding. Power rankings. I'm going to start 5 and work my way up to 1. Coming in at number 5, it's a team that you talked a little bit about. It's a guy that is impressive every time we tune into him. It's a guy that has built a very impressive team, but one I think still sort of pseudo flies underneath the radar. And when I got to the bottom half, the bottom 3 of this, even one, I moved one around 2 or 3 times. The bottom 3, I moved teams in and out. And I just there could be 10. You could do your top 10 here pretty easily because I believe, 3 through 10 are pretty all close related. And then 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, you could probably flip flop those friends around. But coming in at number 5, I got the Seattle Seahawks and Mr. Meek Boy. Meek is a competitor.
Respect my name.
He knows how to put a winning team on the field, and a team that I think a lot of us are going to have to continue to keep taking notes about. But Meek, got to prove it all the way through. We got to see you do something in the playoffs for a change. Coming in at number 4, a team that is a mainstay on the top 5, Dwayne and the Dallas Cowboys. What can you say? He has sort of rebuilt his identity, and he's still hanging 30, 40, 50, 60 points on teams no matter what. This team knows how to win games. He knows how to put up points, and no matter if it's sliders, if it's settings, if it's the way he builds his team. I think I've seen him have one really bad season with like a 63 overall quarterback here the entire time. The Cowboys are my number 4 team. Now, coming in at number 3, I think this is where you start to enter the territory where you could flip-flop a lot of these teams, but it's going to be Mr. Trey and the Detroit Lions, who I don't think is here today because usually I see him in chat. But Trey has rebuilt that team. He's got a rookie quarterback, and he just continues to not lose a step. This entire Madden cycle, he has been a winner. He has been competing. He has found his way to the OMFL Bowl, and one could argue should have won that game, but he did not. Now he's got a rookie quarterback, younger, cheaper. He's just going to continue to build that team. And I got the Lions making another push for OMFL Bowl number 108. Coming in at number 2, and this is where I flipped and flopped and went all over the place. My number 2 team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Easily could have been my number 1 team, but we'll talk about why. And the reason I went why is I started to look at the offensive rankings all the way across: passing, total, rushing, defensive, total, passing, rushing. My number 1 team is my number 1 team for a reason, but the Bengals are right there. He actually is struggling in a couple. I didn't want to come out of my mouth there. It is struggling in a couple of those categories, but still has put together an amazing season and winning time and time again. And I got the Bengals as my number 2 team. Number 1 is not going to shock anyone. It's the San Francisco 49ers and D-Money. I almost moved him to 2, 3. I almost moved him off my top 5 because he is going to go on a bit of a hiatus here with his brand new baby being around, and he's a new papa, and that's going to take some stuff out of him. So that almost made me move him off, but my power rankings are where we are right now, not predictions of where we are going in the future. And well, this guy is just the top 5 of every category across the board, offense or defense. One of the most spectacular defenses that we've ever seen put together is happening right here in season 108 with the San Francisco 49ers. So 49ers number 1, Bengals number 2, Lions number 3, Cowboys number 4, Seahawks number 5. And before Denbrew yells at me, there's only one AFC team on here. I flip-flopped and went all over, but you can't argue that when you look at the stats, the Browns I almost snuck them into that top list. These teams are playing pretty good football, and I think the top 10 could be argued pretty easily. There's my top 5. What do you think about that, Mr. Maniac?
I like it. I think the one team I would probably throw in there is the Jets.
Yeah.
I think I would probably throw those in. But I think from most of every one that you had listed, I think the 49ers, congratulations, D-Money, on the new baby. I know I give you a hard time and show you no love, but I will show you some love this time. So the Bengals, I think those two, I think those are perfect there. I would throw in the Jets probably at number 3 and the Lions at number 4, and then I would finish up with the Cowboys there at number 5.
When we talk about the Browns, when we talk about the Jets, the reason they did not make my top 5 and the reason these teams did is because I think across the board, those two teams in particular got off to slow starts and have got red hot here recently. Whereas if you look at these top five right now, these teams have been pretty consistent throughout this season. They've been winning since week 1 and 2 and kind of gotten on a roll. So I can see the power shifting. The AFC is going to start putting some more teams sort of in my quote unquote top 5 as we move into the playoffs. But I think consistency is what gave me this list right here. Before we go to OMFL news, let's go to our next subject. Then we'll go to OMFL news number 2. Then we'll go and talk some OMFL draft before we get going here. And then OMFL news number 3. In my next category, I want to talk about best offense, best defense in the league. We each picked one. I'm going to get us going with a bit of a shocker. Best offense in the league. Let me see. I don't know why Madden is being so slow. Sometimes it's so terribly slow. I want to bring up the team stats here. The best offense. Oh, that's not what I want. Hold on. This is what happens when you try to talk and think all at the same time. Never works out for me. Stats. There it is. Duh. Stats. Team stats for my best offense in the entire league. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. They have been impressive. 5,022 yards. I think total yards, it's going to put them number 4. Their offensive passing yards, they're going to be number 5 on that list at 4,168. That's total offensive yards. Passing offense, they're going to be number 4 at 2,769. Rushing yards, they're going to be a little lower in that list. Number 7, I think, is where they fall, 1,399 yards. But they're putting up 31.2 points per game. That's going to put them in the top 7 or 8 here in the league. 21 passing touchdowns, 21 rushing touchdowns, 179 first downs. They are a team that I just think is, especially here of late, has gotten things rolling. They are what I think right now the hottest, most powerful offense that you could face. That rookie wide receiver just gives you fits. He's got good tight ends. He's got other great wide receivers. That quarterback's playing great. Good running back. He is just doing it all right on the offensive side of the football. What about you, Maniac? Who's your number 1 offense in the league?
My number 1 offense in the league is actually from the same division, same conference, and it's the Bengals. I took most of my stats from Neon Sports. The Bengals are averaging 36 points a game. He's put up 4,602 yards, which by Neon Sports standards is number 1 and also number 2 in points. Passing yards, he's number 2 with 3,344 yards passing. We looked at those guys that he's got there on the weapons on the offensive side, and man, he's using them extremely well. The only one spot I kind of felt, and I was almost like shocked when I saw this, he's 14th in rushing though, because he's usually like top 2, 3, 4 in the rushing department, but he's got 1,258 yards rushing on the season so far, and that puts him at 14th in the league. But number
1 in rushing touchdowns. I don't know if you had that on Neon Sports or not.
I did not see that part. No.
Number 1 in rushing touchdowns, but number 14 or whatever that was in rushing yards, which is a crazy stat.
So he just throws the ball all up and down the field, and he gets down to into the red zone, and he runs it in. So it's
well, he's still top 7 in passing touchdowns too. So maybe he's putting up points no matter where he's at.
Yeah, but for me, I think Denbrew, has put up a lot of points. Again, with being second in the league, that's pretty spectacular. Especially you see some of the guys that play defense here. I know it seems like sometimes defense struggles at times in the game, but he's definitely put up the points there. And that I think the thing that sets him apart though is that passing offense. He just seems to be on point with it. He doesn't make many mistakes, and he gets the job done with that passing attack and puts himself in great position to score those points, and the reason why he's number 2 in the league.
I want to talk about our top defenses. I've already sort of let the cat out of the bag with mine. San Francisco 49ers are going to be my number one top defense. I think they're doing some pretty amazing things. 3,007 total yards, 2,000. Whoa, where'd it go? I lost it. I hit the wrong button. 2,207 passing yards allowed, only 900 rushing yards allowed, which is going to be second in the league. For points per game, I lost him. He's given up 241 points per game, but he's got 25 sacks on the season. Crazy stat, talking about crazy stats, 0 forced fumbles, which is a little crazy, or at least fumble recoveries. He may have forced some, and only 19 interceptions. And yet with all of that, he's still only giving up the, fifth worst points in the entire league, not that far off from the top guy at 187. So the 49ers able to get some pressure after the quarterback, enough to cause you into some bad throws, but he really shuts you down across the table. And with the way he can run a ball control offense sometimes and really just eat up the entire clock, Carolina Panthers, also another team that's really good at that. I feel like he has put one of the best defenses that we have seen on the field. Who's your number one defense?
My number one defense is going completely in a different direction, but it comes from the NFC. And we're talking about a guy that was in the AFC. They swapped teams. And since he's taken over this team, if I'm doing my scheduling correct, he's turned his team. They're 5-1 since he's taken over this team, and that is Mr. Bill and the Commanders. The Commanders right now are allowing 18 points per game, which is number one in the league according to Neon Sports. He is number one in total yards given up with only 2,944. He's number one in passing yards given up with 1,834. And rushing yards, he's number 10 in the league with 1,110. But the top 10 are like really close. Like they're all kind of like separated only for just like 100 yards or so. They're real close.
Except the Condors. Amongst everybody else, though, super close.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you look at the stats that he's got from his team. 22 sacks, 28 interceptions. And so he's just, and I know he inherited this team from Big Hurt, but it seemed like, he was struggling with the Bills a little bit, couldn't really get his footing. And now since he's taken over the Commanders, though, like I said, if I've got it right when he took over, he's 5-1 with them so far and could be the guy that kind of pushes Dwayne here as the season kind of goes down to the wire. But Mr. Bill has done a phenomenal job with this defense. He's not really great on offense. He's like lower 20s or whatever in the offensive side. But, man, this defense, you just don't want to face them, especially in a tight game, because he has just got them rolling.
I absolutely agree. And that is a look at our number one offense and number one defense in the league so far. Mr. Denbrew, why don't you take it away for OMFL News number dose?
Welcome back. My game of the week breakdown. My game of the week is the Dolphins traveling to Pittsburgh to face them Steelers. Both teams are 6-4. We're going to do a quick breakdown here in segment 2 of the Dolphins. These are two teams trying to hang on to the wild card spot, both at 6-4, both third place in their division. So very important to get the victory here. So let's look at the Dolphins real quick. The Dolphins, they have dropped 4 of their last 5, so a little bit of a skid going on in Miami. Let's see, the Dolphins keep you honest here with the run game. It looks like they feature a rookie in Denzel Williams. Denzel Williams is averaging about 6 yards a carry, 13 touchdowns on the year, 10 of those coming on the ground. Offensively, it's Hill and Waddle, no surprise to anybody. They're the primary targets, but I thought this was interesting. Did you know that 9 Dolphins have scored touchdowns on the year via the pass from Gordon Hitchinson, the very, very, very good import QB there in Miami. Defensively, the Dolphins, they're tough. They're tough against the run. They're allowing less than 100 yards per game. They do struggle a little bit to stop the pass. They're about 27th ranked against the pass. And then if you look at their points for versus their points against, dead even. They give up 29 on defense. They score 29 on offense. That's usually not a great recipe, but they have hammered out 6 wins, but they have struggled here as of late. That's it for segment 2. Kept it under 2 minutes. Proud of myself. Back to Nate, back to Maniac. I'll see you in segment 3 with a breakdown of the Steelers.
That's funny, Mr. Denbrew. Thank you again, Mr. Denbrew, for doing the OMFL news. I appreciate you. All right, I want to talk a little bit of draft before we go open the mailbag and look at some just very quick questions, because we're over an hour and we know how this group crashes and burns after an hour. Stop it. It's not your fault. All right, let's talk about some potential top 5 draftees. I asked both of us to sort of give what we think would be our top 5 list, and I think mine is going to be very defensive heavy. Coming in at number 5, who do you have as your 5th potential top draftee?
I think this is funny because you said you're going defensive heavy. I'm going offensive heavy with mine. So my number 5 is tight end Logan Connor. I think he's going to be an impact player. Low key, I know like we see a lot of the tight ends seem like when they're drafted, and he may not even be like in this top, but I think he's going to be one of the top players once he's drafted. I think he's going to make an impact on the team. He's kind of got all the tools so far from what I've got unlocked on him, and I think he's going to be someone that's going to be kind of like in the essence of these guys that are making impacts on teams right now that you saw that were picked up in previous drafts.
What was he again? I don't know why. I can't find him.
Tight end.
Oh, tight
Connor.
end. I'm sitting here looking at linebacker. What is wrong with me? I'm telling you, I need a nap. Yes, a tight end is such an impactful position, and one that I feel like sometimes you OMFLers, I feel like you're poking at these rules that we've created to keep them simple and go, is he going to make a new rule after I do this? Mr. Denver, I'm looking at you with your 11 receptions with your brand new tight end. That would have drove me absolutely insane. My number 5 is going to be defensive tackle Damian Bright. I think he's going to end up getting drafted as a pass rushing specialist, 6'3", 306 out of UCF. Here's the problem. I just feel like unless you have a superstar X Factor, which I don't think he will be, he might be hidden deaf. I don't think he's going to be an X Factor. They just don't make a massive impact. And even if you have an X Factor, you better have a really good one. And because these defensive tackles just don't make these massive impacts. But I think somebody's going to fall in love with Bright along the process. They're going to think, oh, if I could get kind of that 2000 Madden 23, LA Rams defensive tackle Evans and Donald, that I'll make all this impact, and it's just not going to happen. Coming in at number 4, who do you have?
At number 4, I have quarterback Mark Anthony. Let's see. He is listed as the number 2, but I think from what I have unlocked, I think he's going to be very. It says on the player notes, beautiful spiral on all passes. I think you've seen that players that, especially the quarterback position, if some of these player notes, the scouting report, kind of can help you recognize some of the player traits that they may have. Not all quarterbacks have spirals, and so when you got one that says you got a spiral, that helps with accuracy. I know the quarterbacks I've used at times this Madden, they don't have it. It can cause some passes to kind of go off target, especially if you're under duress. It says could use some improvement recognizing pressure. I think but we've got things in place that you can upgrade those. It says does well to avoid sacks by throwing the ball away. Those help out in Sims. Plays well within and outside the pocket. So this lets me know that he's probably got a little bit of speed to him, that he's able to get out of the pocket and lightning quick release. Almost ignores the lower half. So again, like, he's probably going to be super fast at getting the ball out. So this is going to be my guy, I think, that could be a really impact player.
I really like that guy as well. I think he's going to be, as you said, an impact player that's going to go early in this draft. Coming in at my number 4, it's going to be outside linebacker Tyler Kobler. He's a speed rusher. I love his size, though. 6'5", 242, coming out of Missouri. I think he's going to be a guy that gets off of blocks really easy, super quick, but can also drop back in coverage. You can kind of move him around with someone. I think that could be a player that you're going to see go pretty high in this draft. Someone's going to fall in love with that speed. The question is going to be what happens with the strength. Is he strong enough to play outside or middle? Is he going to have to go over to the left? Is he going to have to go in a 3-4? Is he going to have to put his hand in the ground? I think Tyler Kobler could be a project or someone that they invest into early. I also think he could be one of those really good development players. Who you got as your number 3?
All right, number 3 for me, again, sticking with offense. Like I said, I didn't even think about this when I put it together, but these are the guys that just really stuck out to me. Left tackle Will Dockery. I think he's going to be one of the top 5 players again, and this is my prediction. One of the top 5 players going. He's got a tremendous amount of ability physically, and shows that he's going to be either great or elite on a lot of these things. So there's not a lot of missing in between. Awareness, he's unlocked, showing like A. So he's a very smart player. The scouting report is a little vague, but I think it's still, though, with what I see with his skills unlocked, I think he's going to be somebody that can make an impact. He's 6'6", 319 pounds. So he's big, and he's got some mass to him, but he's also, I think, going to be lengthy enough to play that outside left tackle position where you need a little bit of agility. Has the motor that runs through the whistle, so he's going to have a high motor. I think that's an important part, not only for defense, but for offense as well. Shows good discipline and won't get flagged. So, again, some of those things right there just kind of lets me know this guy is going to be somebody that you get into your offensive line and start building for the future.
Coming in at my number 3, it's going to be the top-rated quarterback, Mr. Ethan Hunt. Strong arm kid, 6'6", 233 out of Ole Miss. He's a lefty, but outside of that, I don't know what our fantasy about lefties is this man, but he throws a beautiful spiral, stands tall in the pocket, always aware of pressure, does well to avoid stacks by throwing the ball away. Majority of his success comes while he's in the pocket, so he's going to be a pocket passer. A little bit of elongated motion with a quick release, so I think he could fall. You're not going to see a lot of guys love the lefty thing. I, for one, I'm punting on the lefting thing. I am sitting my superstar X Factor quarterback. I am not re-signing him. I am sitting, just so in case anybody's wondering, you think I'm tanking, I ain't tanking. I'm sitting everybody. They're all sitting. I am going all in on the youth movement. Someone's going to do this with Ethan. They're going to avoid him for a bit because of a lefty, but somebody's going to take him, and I think he could be much like my quarterback should be, or a lot of these other really great quarterbacks that we're seeing as a lefty here in this league. He could be an X Factor style quarterback that's going to make a hell of a difference for somebody that can learn how to use him, because Nate, I'm giving up on the lefty situation. Who you got as your number 2?
I don't blame you on the lefty, man, because it throws your brain for loops, man. So good luck to you on that. In that front, but my number 2, and I kind of went back and forth. I took Ethan Hunt completely out of my top 5, so that's kind of maybe a shocker to some. But like you just said, and you talked about, I think he's going to fall. My number 2 though is halfback, and yes, I know we're talking about halfbacks really, but halfback, power back, and I think you see like sometimes these guys make impacts in the rushing game, especially like this season. You're seeing like some of the rookies and stuff making impact, and I think this guy is going to be somebody that's going to be somebody that's going to make an impact. So Trey Morton, a halfback, shows good ball security all times, but needs to improve in that area. I think again it's going to be one of those type of things. Where he's almost there on that, but with a gold or whatever incentive you can. Needs to work on concentrating. He's not going to be somebody that's going to catch the ball, but he fights for every yard, avoids the big hits, and excels creating yards after the catch. So he does have a little bit of ability there. But I think if you look at it, 5'10", 230, he's only 21, and he's also left-handed. That's kind of odd. But a lot of that, I know he's going to be slow, and he's not going to be really fast, but I think the elite acceleration. And I think sometimes when you see that he's got elite acceleration and it says decent speed or solid speed, a lot of times that doesn't relate to in Madden. And so sometimes you'll think, he's going to be like an 83, and he ends up being like an 87 or 88 speed guy. So he's
90.
got graded, or even 90. So, but he's got elite strength, elite agility, great agility, and elite acceleration in those areas. And I think from what I've gotten unlocked, he's going to have great vision. Break tackle is going to be off the charts. Stiff arm is going to be off the charts. So he's going to be a guy that could make a true impact on a team that's almost there, that needs their running game to go like to the next level, especially in the red zone. You grab this guy early on, and it's going to be a big impact for your team.
Coming in at number 2, it's going to be cornerback Steve Raymond. Steve is from Wisconsin, 6'1", love the height, 194, a man-to-man guy. I love my man-to-man cornerbacks. Aggressive ball hawk, better or worse, has motor that runs through the whistle, often looks to rip the ball away from runners. He can strip. He can knock it away. He's never going to quit. He's got good discipline. This guy does it all. He's going to be a top 3-4 pick. I think he could be number 2. This guy is going to be, an X Factor, hidden dev style of player. Steve Raymond is going to be my number 2. Who do you have at number 2?
Was that number 1? I think I just did my number 2.
That's
Morton.
right. That was my number 2. So yeah, that's right. So we're over to your number 1.
Okay. I was going to say, man, did I mess up?
No, Nate messed up.
Okay, so my number 1 is staying with the offensive side of the ball. Cody Raines. Cody Raines Supreme. This guy is quarterback. Beautiful spiral on all passes. Stands tall in the pocket. Always aware of pressure. Does well to avoid sacks by throwing the ball away. Vast majority of success comes for a while in the pocket. So he's going to be a pocket passer. Not really going to be fast. And he does have an elongated motion with a quick release. I think that could be something that guys tend to have problems with. But then some guys that have like really good offensive lines and stuff, I don't think it matters as much. But he's 6'5", 243 pounds. So we're talking like a Dante Culpepper type body
so
build.
Big.
Yeah. He's age 22, but again, another left-hander. So that's just like, that could be something that throws guys off, but he's throw power, elite. He's got good strength. He's got solid speed to good speed. He's poor acceleration, but his change of direction is also looking to go towards the great to good side. So, again, he's able to quickly move within the pocket. I think that talks about that in his scouting. His skills, off the chart, stamina, great. Awareness is looking really solid. Under pressure, off the charts. And then the one thing that a lot of guys, you look at, the first thing I always look at for his accuracy for a quarterback is their medium accuracy, because probably about 85% of your passes are going to be that mid-range pass. So you need to have a guy that's got really good mid to short range, and this guy's off the charts on both of those, and his play action is really good. So I think this guy is going to be probably the next like Hitchens or whatever in the OMFL, or the guy from the Bucks. I just lost Ryder. I think he's going to be in that level.
Trying to see the age of these guys. They're all pretty young. Looks like 22 and 23. A couple lefties. I just don't think that a lot of quarterbacks are going to go high in this draft. I don't think we have that many quarterback needy teams. It's been pretty quarterback heavy the last couple of drafts. My number one's going to be not sexy. It's right here on the screen. John Green, the number one cornerback in the draft, 6'2", 182, out of USC. He's a righty, 22 years old, aggressive ball hawk, has a motor, rips it away, is disciplined. I think he's going to be scouted pretty fast. He's got size. He's got brains. He can sort of do it all. Acceleration, good to great. Speed, great to elite. We know how this league falls in love with its super big, super fast, skilled position players, and I think Mr. John Green is going to be no different. And that's a look at our top 5. This is something I want to do a little bit more often. We don't actually pause that often and look at draft picks, so something I want to start sprinkling into Press Pass Live a little bit more. But that's a look
Sweet.
at our top 5. I'm going to bring it over to Mr. Denbrew for our last OMFL news. We'll open up a couple of mailbag questions, and then we'll put a bow in the show with some exciting news about something that Maniac has asked me to work on. Mr. Denbrew.
Hey, I'm back. Segment 3, Game of the Week breakdown. We're going to break down the home team Steelers here in this one. And would you believe the Steelers have also lost 4 of their last 5? They also excel at running the football, and they are also led by a rookie at running back, Demario Clayton out of Notre Dame. The dude is a beast. I've played him. He's averaging nearly 7 yards a carry. He's got 18 touchdowns on the year. The guy is a load to bring down. I think he leads the league in maybe carries over 20 yards. Check me on that one. But I believe if he's not leading, he's up there because he's had a boatload. The passing game, a little bit of a challenge for the Steelers. They've kind of went with a two-headed monster at QB, Ritter and Trubisky. They've struggled a little bit. 16 touchdowns combined, 21 interceptions. Primary target is the big dude out of Georgia, George Pickens. He's tough. He can catch everything. Does a lot of his stuff underneath. The big play threat, oddly enough, is Freiermuth. He's averaging like 23 yards a catch. So that's Pittsburgh's kind of passing offense right there. The Steelers can score. They're averaging 31 a game. That's going to get you in the top 5. Defensively, they're solid against the run. They do struggle a bit with the pass, yardage-wise, but they've got a bunch of guys over there that can cover. Minkah Fitzpatrick is a ball hawk. He's got 11 interceptions on the year. I think he's an X factor. He's got 2 really good corners. So they got talent all over the defense. I haven't even mentioned T.J. Watt. So very talented. Both teams have a bunch of talent, in my opinion, on defense. So my prediction, it's going to come down who can make the big play on offense and which defense can get the timely turnover, because I think there are going to be a bunch of turnovers in this game. There's too much talent on defense. They both stop the run, so it's almost going to be like these guys are going to have to throw it. So I think we're going to have a bunch of turnovers. There's tons of superstars and X factors all over the place on defense for both teams. But I'm going to take the Dolphins in a high-scoring, high-turnover affair. Dolphins win with a late score, 41-38. By the way, if you're keeping track at home, I blew my prediction last week. Let's see how we do this week. Dolphins win with a late score, 41-38. Back to Maniac. Back to Nate. Thanks for listening.
No, you haven't, Mr. Denver. I can see him filming these in between, solving world hunger over there. All right, I'm going to open up this question, but I also want to see Denver, who said something in the chat. Now he's got me questioning my own sanity, which could be very possible since him and Little Koch flip-flop teams every season. I get them a little confused. They sort of look the same, colors are the same, owners are the same. My head starts to spin. Mr. Trey says, do you think the number of sacks has increased with the move to all Madden? Is that good or a bad thing? Let me look at the stats really fast. What do I want to do here? Stats. I don't think that I don't know. That's really hard to say. My knee jerk is I don't think they've massively increased. I'm sure they have, but let me pull it up where we are right now. Aaron Donald's leading with 16. He's a bit of an asterisk there with a lot of usering. Everyone else is around 10, 9, 8.5, 8, 7. So I don't know that we've seen a massive explosion. Now, we're only a little over halfway. I think Maniac may back me up on this because I feel like I'm still in the words from his own mouth. What we have seen the increase of is pressure, which is a little different than sacks, so to speak. But what do you think? Has it gotten better? And is this good or bad in your opinion? And I'm going to look up something while we do that.
I think you have to look at it kind of I think it's been good, but it also has maybe been bad. I mean, you can look at a good and bad of all situations. I think in this situation is no different. I do believe, just like you said, and I've said before, the pressure is where the change in the game. Whereas, the first two seasons we had, the biggest and the most the complaints were the quarterback sitting in the pocket for 7, 8, 10 seconds, just with no pressure whatsoever, just dissecting the defense. And then to where we are now, sometimes you've got less than 2 seconds to make a decision, it seems like. And I think you look at the development of maybe the offensive lines compared to the defensive lines, because I think a lot of guys within those first couple seasons were putting a lot of development in because it didn't seem like offensive line was really that important. And so now we're seeing where the offensive line maybe needs to be looked at for development more than what it was, because now guys are getting pressure and they're kind of causing a lot of havoc. And then you have the guys that because of the previous seasons, they weren't getting pressure from the CPU, so they started usering to get the pressure, and now those guys, they're kind of continuing that, and now they can get almost instant pressure without really much resistance from the offensive line as a whole. And so I think that's where you see the bad side of it compared to the good side. You see guys like myself, my team is a perfect example. I think last season, my team only had 10 sacks for the entire season. They were not a factor whatsoever. This season, I've usured probably an outside linebacker, a defensive end, and a defensive tackle, probably less than 5 times. And I've got, I think, 23 sacks on the season so far. And I'm seeing a lot of pressure. I did change up. I drafted a guy, Clyde. He's actually turned out to be a really spectacular defensive end for me. But I'm not really using those guys like a lot of the other guys, and I'm getting the pressure. I'm getting the benefits from the slider change. But I know on the opposite coin, I think you're kind of one of the ones that you're not seeing a whole lot of pressure or sacks stats from that. Now I know when we've played, I've gotten some pressure from you, but again, there's still a difference from team to team. You look at some teams, seem like every play they're getting guys just busting through, and other teams are kind of this. It's spotty. One game you're good, next game you're not. So that's kind of my take on it.
I'm having some of the worst Madden seasons in my entire Madden career. This whole Madden cycle has been poo-poo for me. So I feel like anything I would say would be completely skewed and just not right. I have no clue. My team has been in the bottom 5 of sacks the last 2 seasons, so it hasn't changed for me. And I feel like this entire season, and it's probably tied to my losing. The entire season feel like the sliders have been off. The game doesn't play fluid. It doesn't play consistent. Whereas like it's funny because Maniac, I remember the exact moment he said it in my chat, but like the end of last season, there's some consistency there. But is it because I started winning at the end of last season? Probably. I'm human. I probably think it always feels better when I win, and I ain't winning this season. I'm now punting my season. So I don't know what to think. I feel like it all is off. It ain't no fun at all. And I really want to just retire and close down the OMFL. That's, if you're asking me what I really want to do, that's what I am. So that you all know, I am working very dang hard right now to keep this community going, because Nate wants to find other things to do with his life and his money, because this is not fun for me. Trey says, what do you think is the most important part of a rebuild? Also, most important part of a retool? To me, they're both exactly the same. They start with the quarterback position. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not winning. I don't care. It doesn't have to be a superstar X Factor quarterback, but you got to have the guy that you can play with. And then I believe it goes up front. You got to have the offensive line. Those are the main 2 pieces. I think you can supplement everything else. You can't supplement speed, but you can supplement overall at running back, overall at wide receiver, overall at tight end, with maybe a fast guy that struggles in other areas. But you better have a quarterback, and you better have an offensive line to protect him for either one of those. What do you think, Maniac?
I think again, this is my deal, which I know I've had pretty much my quarterback from the get go, because I got the guy that I wanted. And he hasn't done all the time what I've wanted to and stuff, but I went ahead and I bit the bullet and I signed him. So I'm tied to the hip for him for the rest of this match.
So there's going to be an X Factor superstar 90 plus overall guy in free agency. I will not be re-signing mine.
I don't know.
I can throw 75 picks with a guy off the road. I don't need to pay a guy $300 million to throw that many picks. So I'm good.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. If it, I think I've played different quarterbacks and one in the deuce. I've had Dak, and I've had Parker Colt, and I've had Trey Lance and different ones. And I think they all have different styles, and even like the QB motion we were talking about. Some guys are able to get through that because they make quicker decisions. Like I'm old and slow, and so my brain doesn't process to my fingers as fast to say like press the button. And so I need a guy that's got like lightning fast release, so that way whenever I finally get from my brain, or from my eyes to my brain to my hand, to hit that X button or whatever, that it actually goes as quick as possible. And I think that's where you have to, and then you see like a guy like Kobe, I've seen him play really well with his quarterback that he's got now. He went from Rodgers to this guy, but I think he's maybe a little bit younger, a little bit quicker in his fingers and whatever. It hasn't affected him none whatsoever, it seems like. So, but I think, again, like you said, you got to find what works for you. You got to find the quarterback style. Obviously, I can't hardly play with a left-hander. I did it a little bit last Madden in the deuce, and it was a disaster. I couldn't. It throws me off. I mean, I'm a right-handed person, So I think with my right brain or my left brain, whichever controls the right side. I don't remember that science part of it, but to get back to the question, because I've rambled about 10 minutes for nothing. I think the offensive line, the defensive line are the important parts, because you can get yourself set up at quarterback, but until you kind of get those things set up, unless you can get that quarterback right away. But if you can't, you gotta work on that offensive line, I think, first and foremost, because you can make the plays with with a mid 70s quarterback, throwing shorter passes, just controlling the clock with the running game and do those things like that. So anyway, mine's up front with the big hogs, man.
I didn't think we'd be talking about Maniac's Big Hog today, but I would say it isn't a brain thing for me. It isn't I'm confused or it's difficult to see when I play, it doesn't happen for anybody else. So it's a Nate thing. I've watched too many of you other ones play with a lefty and do just fine. It's a footwork thing. I don't know why, but when I'm controlling a lefty, he gets twisted, and then I try to throw the ball, and his body's all twisted and it goes funky, and it's just, I don't know. I can't figure it out. I have fought so hard to put in so many practice hours, and I can't figure it out to save my life. And I'm at the point where he's now two Madden cycles. I cannot pay him $300 million and be an import for next Madden. I will need a quarterback for next Madden. So I'm punting. Hopefully I get a good draft pick and I can draft one this season or next. And I just plan on sucking the rest of this Madden cycle. And as I told everybody, and I remember having the conversation with Bird specifically, I have not enjoyed 1 second of this Madden cycle. It just has not been fun. Trey's last question makes me want to boot him right away just for the question. I'm just kidding. Do you think we'll ever see a quarterback throw for 4K and run for 1K in the OMFL if it hasn't already happened? No, it hasn't happened. No, I don't ever see it happening because rules would change immediately during the season. No way a board would let a quarterback run for 1,000 yards in this league, and you would be booted. So don't even think about it, Trey. I see your little wheels turning after your post today. I ran for 160 or whatever it was. Like, don't even think about it. No. Sorry, my phone was ringing. I don't think we would ever see that, and I think that. I mean, again, I'd have to do the math. Whatever 17 games into 1,000 yards, that's, was it 75 to 90 yards a game, whatever that is. It's not even as high as 90, man. It's like 65 to 75 yards a game. If a quarterback did that every week, 100% you're getting turned in. I could just see somebody snapping off and freaking out about it. 600's a lot. I think 600... I think probably the most we've ever had here is in that 6 to 7 or 8. We don't have stats around highest quarterback rushes, but no, I don't see it ever happening. What do you think?
It seems like there was one season, maybe it's 2 or 3 Maddens ago. It might have been like one of the Mo's had quite a few rushing yards. I think that was one of the things that brought in one of the rules about quarterback rushing, because I think it was I don't remember what Madden it was, but anyway, I do remember something like that. And I don't think, to be honest, in a Madden game, I don't think we should see it. If there's anything that feels any more dirty, I think, than using the defensive tackle and get instant pressure every time. It's almost like running with the quarterback, because sometimes guys won't react to the quarterback when you're running, and which I'm so thankful that we put in a rule where you can spy a guy and stuff, and that helps kind of slow down. Because if that's the case, and a lot of times you're going to see like third and longs, and guys are dropping guys back to coverage, and guys are just going to run up the middle every time and get a first down. But again, I think like when you start talking about like a quarterback having 1,000 yards, and you start breaking it down, like you said, to how many they got to get per game, and all the different things, it's going to end up causing a rule to be made, and just don't even, it shouldn't be a thing.
Trey's going to make it a thing. There's going to be new rules, and then I'm going to have to.
No, he's halfway there, he says.
Oh, no, I've seen it. Anyway, Joker with the quick math, 59 yards a game is a little over 1,000 yards. So could we see it? Yeah, I guess thinking about it that way. I think it's pretty hard, though. It wouldn't be easy. Yeah, and if Trey has another 160-plus yard game, I'm sure I'll get the complaints flooding in. The complaints ain't even finished this week, so I'm sure they still could. All right, let's put a bow on this thing. I got a lot to go get done in a very, very little time. So I got to get off this thing. All right, wrap it up with what you've asked me to work on, and it'll happen later this week.
Okay, so we all have heard the news about the other football game that EA is putting out. So NCAA, which is now college football from EA, or EA's college football. But I've asked Nate to go ahead and get a chat rolling for guys so we can, once the game, because I feel like they're probably going to have like some kind of beta coming out within the next couple months. And then they've talked about the release date being in July, but I've asked him to go ahead and put together a chat so we can go ahead and start getting ready for that game to drop, because that'll give us a little break in between the Maddens, and then plus, from my understanding, from some of the things that I've heard, it's like the NCAA, you're going to be able to maybe possibly transfer some rosters over. So that almost be kind of neat to have, like, that's where some of the import players come from, maybe from the college football or something like that. But anyway, that's something to unlock later on. But just this is a simple fact that college football is so big, especially down here in the South. That's where I started out with EA, was with the college football. My name is actually in the credits in NCAA 12, 13. Well,
Nobody
it
likes
might be
a
both of
bragger.
those. But that game was like my first love compared to Madden. I've always played Madden, but NCAA was always like the game that I went to, gravitated to, because it was so deep. You could immerse yourself into the trying to recruit players and the off season and stuff, and it's really what Madden's franchise should be like, and compared to. But I'm hoping that they do this well, do it great, and supposedly that's going to be the main focus of this game. From what I've read and saw the videos on the updates from it, it's supposed to be focusing on that the franchise aspect of it, or the part of what would be like franchise in Madden. So anyway, that way guys can get excited about it, talk about it in chat, and definitely we'll have a league up, and I don't know how many seasons will go before the next Madden, but it'd be nice to have it, kind of roll behind the scenes, kind of like as another option for guys to play and continue to play on throughout the whole season. But maybe obviously you're not going to ever take the spot of the OMFL that should be number one in this community, because that's been the mainstay and stuff. But anyway, I'm excited about it. I love my Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em horns.
Only Maniac can take 10 minutes to tell y'all chat's going up. So yeah, chat's going up. Be on the lookout for this new chat to go up. I think it won't be behind the scenes. I think the fanboys of NCAA are going to come flocking out. And I think it's going to be a super flawed game with all kinds of bugs, and it's going to drive us nuts just like Madden, but it's another game that we can play. So I'll get that chat up this week and start tagging people who would be interested in it, and see who wants to join. And then when the game drops, we'll figure out what a league's going to look like and all that fun stuff, and we'll start rolling some things out. I still am itching to do I've got some crazy ideas, and I don't have time. I can't, but like, I really would like to do a 32-man, make everybody move, fantasy auto draft, select your team. You play with one of these custom teams that we have with a fantasy auto draft. And then here's a crazy idea that I haven't told anybody. It's just been a thought in my head. I would love to have a league that allows you as an owner to hire an offensive or defensive coordinator, like one other human who watches your games with you, and either in a voice chat or a text chat helps you call the game, helps you look out for things like a real life, not in game, a real life assistant coach. I think that would just be fun to allow every owner to have a real life assistant coach. You got to go find your person. They can watch your stream. You can jump in your own Discord, whatever you want to do, but they get to watch and help you call a game. I don't know. This is the way I think sometimes. I'm trying to think, what's the next thing? What can we do that's totally different from everybody else out there? And that's something I don't know anyone's ever even thought of. And I would love to do it. And I don't know, maybe as NCAA gets rolling, I can talk Maniac into some crazy ideas that we can try over in the Deuce. But NCAA is going to be coming out here soon. Guys, I got to go. This 1 hour show has gone 2 hours, and I'm by myself. My wife has flown to another state in for business, and like I'm stuck. And so I got to go do this all myself. So I got to go. Maniac, I appreciate you. I love you. Guys in the chat, I love you. Make sure you hit the like button. Join us next Monday for Press Pass Live. But also look this week, not tonight, but probably tomorrow. Maniac and I are going to try to call a game if we can find one. So join me tonight as I play Kevin tomorrow for a game that we're going to call. And then we'll be back next Monday. Guys, I love you. Take care of those around you. Take care of yourself. We'll see you on the next one.
Smash that like and subscribe.